Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Hello and thank you for joining us for a fresh episode of Enterprise Morning. It's a new week and one that's sure to mark the end of November. As you all know, 2023 is about winding down with torching distance because December is only days away. My name is Henry Igwibiki, and with me in the studios today is
Esther Wachuku. Good morning, Henry.
Good
how
morning,
are you?
Esther. How are you today?
I'm fine. As you can see, it's the final week. This is salary week. I'm excited. Anyways, yes, my name is Esther Wachuku, and I want to say thank you for joining us today on Enterprise this morning. You can actually subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV. Across the social media handles, right on your screen there is at Enterprise TV 7. However, we'll be starting off with the papers, starting off straight again with the headlines and into a main conversation topic for the morning.
All right, so first off, we have from the front pages of our first daily for today. Would you, if you don't mind, can you start off that?
Okay, so we're going to start off with the Punch, and the major headline here is the fact that banking consolidation, that's the major headline. Mega banks boast 10 trillion naira capital base, others seek fresh investors. And the writer says, Wema Bank, Fidelity, others set for rights issues. Over 8 national regional banks may require new capital. That's the major headline right there on the Punch newspaper. We also have lawmakers push for 32 new federal varsities. Armed robbers invade Ogun Poly communities, shoot students. You see that story on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper this morning. That's not a good news. We also have above the major headline there, or rather the masthead, governorship bid, hotel cancels Obaseki deputy's venue booking. I'm sure you all know the drama between Obaseki and his deputy. Well, we're not surprised with this development on the Punch newspaper. Companies raise salaries by 4.6 trillion naira in 6 months. Oh God, I wish my company would do that. And then we have lecturers shortage hits varsities. ASU blames JAPA IPPIS. All right, we're not surprised with that happening. And those are the headlines that we have on the Punch newspaper.
Okay, from The Guardian, we have on the front page, banks brace for new monetary policy conduct regulations. And we also have coup scare. Sierra Leone declares curfew on ECOWAS, while ECOWAS, condemns that. And also we have, as Cardoso returns a CBN to traditional monetary policy regime. And also we have the judiciary and Justice Datijo Mohammed is concerned. Whatever it is concerned about, we do not know for now. But you get a copy of the Guardian newspaper and you get to learn more.
All right, before we go on with the newspapers, let's introduce our guest right here in the studio, and that is Dr. Victor Ohai. All right, Dr. Victor, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Are you surprised with what you're saying on the national dailies?
Every day is something new. What would be surprising if we don't have the kind of news that we get on the daily basis? The one thing you can say is you can never predict what will be on the news.
Definitely. That's true. So let's look at the Punch, where armed robbers invade Ogun Poly communities and they shoot students. Apparently every day on the news we're seeing this kind of developments all the time, and it's brazenly taking place. This administration, in one of its campaign promises in the Renewed Hope Agenda manifesto, said security will be one of the first priority of his administration. But ever since he, came in on May 29, we've been seeing one particular insecurity to the other. This time around, more brazen attempts compared to how it used to be during the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. So what should be done now?
You know what they say, talk is cheap. It's hard to say. The government has known the answer since Jonathan's time.
Okay.
They have always known, those in government now have always known what to do, what ought to be done. And then they had a chance with Buhari. Things got worse, and things seem to have degenerated this time around. So I really don't know.
What's the essence of going to school if you cannot guarantee the safety of the students? Apparently, the students had machete wounds. A couple of them got bullet wounds on their legs. In fact, in separate interviews, based on what the Punch is saying, they said that the attacks have become a recurring decimal in the communities over time, but it got to its peak this Sunday. This just yesterday evening, it got to its peak.
I'll tell you what worries me more. What worries me more is the fact that we used to think it was happening in the north. Now there's a government headed by someone in the southwest. And what we used to hear in the north is happening now in the southwest. And it's getting closer and closer home. I don't know if that is really a priority, because time was when they would say declare a state of emergency. Then government now, no one is declaring a state of emergency. And so it begs the issue whether this is really of priority to them, or whether other things are of more importance, like, for instance, buying a yacht, putting it, inserting it in the budget. Well, that's by the way. But I really think that we need to do more than pay lip service. If we have to increase the number of policemen if they're overwhelmed, then let's do that, recruit more. If we have to buy more equipment for them, then let's do that. But it's important to send a clear message that there will be zero tolerance for things like this.
But my question is this: what do you think is the leadership empathy, if there is any? Do you think there's a large amount of empathy for the people?
For the government or for the people?
From the government to the people.
I don't think that, and I'm not just saying this because it has to show. I don't think that the people are really a priority right now, but the suffering that's going on in the country, if it were, I would say this, I normally say this, if you really want to help the people, your priority should not be it should not be pleasing the Dangotes of this world. Your priority should be that man on the street who is on the roadside, either begging or so, and say to yourself, what can I do to make this man happy? If your policy starts from that point, you can be sure it will cover a majority of the people.
So regardless of him traveling to Dubai, Germany, advertising himself and saying all the policies he has, actually literally, bragging on how he made Lagos the way it became, while he was the governor, there is a fact that is beyond the brag. It's about giving an environmental policy that would help economic investment or economic boom.
No, there's that. It's important. When you create policies, you have to look at them at both the macro and the micro level. Okay. What they're doing is looking at some things are long term. Opening these new relationships, going back to, getting new friends and trying to see what they can do. That is important. We can't discountenance that. Okay. But you want to look at things like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Look at the way in some discussions I've had recently, I've said to people, and I remember a particular, I was an Uber driver from the airport, and I said to him, as was complaining that the Uber, sorry for mentioning a brand here, but the e-hailing companies rather have not increased the money, the fare and all that. And I said to him, has it ever occurred to you that everything that is being done, the person who is paying for them, his salary has remained the same. The landlord will increase. The market woman will increase. You, the e-hailing driver, will increase. School fees will increase from the same fixed salary. And then you wonder, how is he going to be able to cope? And you complain that he's unable to pay, he doesn't want to pay. But is this same person, his salary has not increased. No significant difference. You understand? So that's where we're at. And I think that if anything, priority should be there so that the poor can breathe in a manner of speaking. It's important.
All right. On the Guardian newspaper, as Henry earlier read out, the major headline actually says that Cardoso takes ownership of house cleaning, embarks on broad staff audit. That's based on banks bracing for new monetary policy conduct regulation. I do know that before Cardoso came on board, the CBN had its own issues. We also had the banking sector, especially with the new mint, that's the new Naira, and how Nigerians couldn't embrace the new Naira policy or the new Naira redesign policy. Cardoso came on board, he had a meeting with his stakeholders and tried to put the house in order, bridge the distrust between the people and the bank. Now, he's saying that this time around, it's going to be beyond the banking policies being read out. Implementation will start in-house. And he's saying they've kick-started a new era of banking supervision and the conduct of monetary policy in earnest. So beyond this, what is this meant to achieve? Let's say in the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, now let me get the last part. Now, you're talking about, please read the last part again.
He said that they are ready to clean house,
yes,
and they've embarked on broad staff audit. They're going to be auditing every staff, what their responsibility is, what their use is. Anyone who is of no use will be wiped off. Anyone who is of use and can be upgraded will be upgraded. They'll be taking a new leaf, that is a new look into most of the policies implemented and what the benefits of those policies are. So basically, more supervision, more auditing on how monies come in, how monies are used, what monies are being loaned out for. Proper auditing and supervision will be done on that.
At the various banks?
At the various banks, basically. That's the CBN.
I will adopt this, you don't look. Yes, and I'll tell you why. No, listen. See, because what I've seen in this country is that the laws are for the weak, not for the rich, or not for the privileged. I think that's a better way to look at it. The laws are for the weak, or not for the privileged. For the privileged, there's a different set of laws. Okay. So, which is why you have all these banks collapsing and the rest, because if there was adequate and proper supervision, there are some people that they overlook. They just go and say body and all that, and so I have to wait and see. I said in the beginning, talk is cheap. So we'll have to wait and see. We've seen too many policies. Our problem is not policies, it's not, it's implementation. And the will, to really implement. That's where the problems have always been.
And my question to that is this. Do you think the policies that the CBN chief is trying to bring in place, do you think that is paramount? Do you think that's the most important thing, if juxtaposed with what contemporaries are doing in other parts of the world?
Well, I'll have to answer you truthfully, from my perspective. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing anywhere is in the world. What's most important is what is the problem, the local problem. You cannot use American solution to solve Nigerian solution, and you cannot use what worked yesterday to solve the problem of today. So it's important he's wearing the shoes right now. Okay. I expect that he would have looked at all the issues and decided on the best strategy. Every strategy is local. You have to start from what the immediate problems are. When you have diagnosed it, then you know how to do it. So I would say that he is in the best position. He's wearing the shoes. Neither you nor I we don't have the full picture. So, but we'll have to trust that he'll be able to. He has experience behind him. He comes with a reputation, but there's also the political will, and if the forces allow for the reforms. So we'll have to wait and see. Soludo was fortunate in the sense that he was surrounded by people, or he had people who were ready to back his reforms. Okay. Sanusi tried. So you need you need a leadership that will not interfere, that will back your reforms and trust you to be able to do the right thing. If that happens, then hopefully, and if there are no sacred cows, then hopefully we will.
Well, some of the CBN persons or the bank chief executives are complaining about Cardoso. They say they've been trying to get access to him, have meetings with him, but he's been refusing. I think he doesn't want that sense of bureaucracy this time around. So he's saying that he's not going to look at anybody's face. This is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. Any of you trying to meet me to say something else or something different, well, it's no longer business as usual. I think that's basically one of the disgruntled that he had to address.
Well, I'm happy to hear this. I'm not aware of this, but the fact that he's not granting them access is good.
You think so?
Oh, yes, it's good. The reason being that, you can easily be compromised. The bank chiefs have too much money at their disposal.
Okay.
It's not their money. They can splurge and splash billions on you and give you the best holiday and anything, you know. So, and if he's not seeing them, if he's saying to them, go and do the right thing, my boys will meet you or whatever, and hope that those boys too will not be compromised.
That's basically what he's saying. He said he doesn't want to make friends that will compromise and distract him.
Excellent.
Basically,
so
that's what he wants to
The
do.
question to that is, it's very important, and I'm really confused. Where do you think we can draw the line between being a very good leader and not being a dictator?
First of all, thank you for this.
You're welcome. I'm going to take my tea.
It's not something I get in other stations. Thank you. And it is good.
Okay.
So anyway, it's not about leadership and dictatorship.
Okay.
It's simply saying, look, my friend, don't call me. Go and do your job. We don't need to talk. If you do the right thing, that's okay. We don't need to have a meeting. Just do, what are you explaining to me? There's nothing. Just do your job. That's what he's saying. It's not dictatorship.
I think that they said he has a very calm dispositional approach to things. I think this time around he wants to avoid that clique thing, that bureaucracy thing. So they can.
Bureaucracy is creating obstacles on the way. Okay. I don't think that's what you might say. You know, what he doesn't want is that undue influence where people will just come and party, you know, and all that. Man, these guys are good at it. Excuse my English. They're very good at it. These bank chiefs are, they will do anything, you know. So what he's simply doing is protecting himself and his integrity. Okay. The minute you compromise with one, you are finished. I mean, just a little. You can't look them in the face and say no again. So, and that's what he's avoiding. He wants to stay focused on the job. So it gives me hope.
All right. Okay, on the Daily Independent, the major headline there is investors okay banks fresh recapitalization, urge transparency. The writer there says caution Apex Bank on timing, tax cut on forex inflation. One process will be more about incentives than coercion. And then on the bottom page there we have 87 trillion naira debts. Serap asks World Bank to scrutinize loans to Nigeria states. Our largest mismanagement, diversion of funds by sub-nationals. And there are a couple of other writers there, but you can actually check more details on that on page 8 as well as page 2 of the Daily Independent this morning. So I'm going to, before Henry goes on the final headlines that we had today, apparently Sarah has written to the World Bank and urging them to effectively conduct investigation into spending of loans and other facility by the country's 36 state governors. And of course, there's already a pause on that. They complain that there's trifle spending on most of these grants and monies given to the state governors. They're not implementing it in the lives of the people. So Serap has sued, asking that all this money is being allocated by the World Bank, that there should be a proper audit of it. What have those governors done with it? So, however, would we say Nigerians are losing here? The World Bank wants to give us loans, and Serap is saying, disabusing them from having to go ahead with it, saying that these loans are not being actually used for the betterment of the people. Rather, it's meant to, you know, put out a luxurious, ostentatious lifestyle of these governors and their aides.
I stand with Serap. Sounds like a hashtag. And the reason is simply this: there must be accountability. A lot of these loans are diverted into political campaigns, into private purses, and all that. I mean, how could I hold our accountant general or whatever it is have 109 or 119 billion? I don't even know. In one human being. You know what I'm talking about. And just to put it in context, 1 billion naira, not the 100 and something. At the rate of, let's say, what you call it now?
You're referring to the former
accountant general, yes. So at the rate of 50,000, if you spend 50,000 naira every day, it will last you for approximately 55 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now that is 1 billion naira. At the rate of 50,000 every day, one human being has taken that times 100 and something times. That's more than, that's almost over 500 lifetimes. That's crazy. Okay? Now, how does that happen? It's simply because when these monies come, people don't account for them. They don't implement, they don't use them. So and you find so many abandoned projects. They'll start them and abandon them. So what he's saying is right, go back, account for what you have taken, and if they stop giving, then it will now force them to go after those who have stolen the monies, to return them, so that they can use them to work. So I think it's in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we have the next paper, which is Daily Trust. What do we have in there?
Okay, for Daily Trust, we have for the major headline, ex-NIRSEL was arrested 11 months after sacking. And it says, nabbed lobbying for reappointment, bolts away 32 official vehicles, and DSS is not having any comments for that. And we have ECOWAS court orders amendment of Nigeria's Press Council Act. I think that's what we have for Daily Trust. And before we move on to the next one, still on Daily Trust, FG raises committee to crash cooking gas price. That's interesting. How that would happen, I still do not know how that is possible.
Why do you need a committee? It's simply cut down the price. Why do you need a committee to cut down price?
Just like we had a committee for food, and we don't know yet what is going on with food.
And finally, the president is the minister for petroleum, I guess.
Well, there's somebody that is coming on board now. That announcement will be made very soon.
Until it is made.
Until it is made.
We're talking about what is on ground.
Okay. So go ahead with your response. What's your take on that?
On the committee?
Set up for the price of gas, right?
Yes, for the price of gas. Which is a committee to crash cooking gas.
I honestly don't see what you need a committee for. It's simply to issue a directive. From now going forward, let the price be this. That's all. I don't see what you are setting up a committee
Just
for.
like how he said, fuel subsidies gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The same way, okay, introduce subsidies. The same way you did it. Let there be subsidies for cooking gas. Simple.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, so I don't know why they need a committee. Except it's another job for the boys.
Oh, that's another angle. That's another angle. So look at it. All right, I think that's all we have on the papers this morning, right here on Enterprise Morning. We'll take a very short break and we'll be right back.
Okay, so it's still Enterprise Morning, and we'll be going in for a quick commercial break. And when we come back, it's still Enterprise Morning. Please don't.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.